Chapter 1. Meet a Liberal Catholic. I recently heard a liberal Catholic giving many reasons why the Church should be updated. He said the Church bureaucracy in Rome is not enlightened. The Church must move with the times, stop being intolerant, give up her principles and abandon her union with the state. Smacks of heresy. It was a few days ago that for the first time I really understood the truth and the sagacity of that old expression, as I sat listening to a man going on at length, and the most upstanding man one can imagine, devout, full of good works, scholarly, ardent, overflowing with good intentions, full of beautiful illusions, full of himself as well, unfortunately, and soon to prove himself quite insincere. He told us that he was a liberal Catholic. One of us asked him what a liberal Catholic is, as opposed to a Catholic pure and simple, namely one who believes and practices what the Church teaches. He answered, or rather, he gave us to understand, that a Catholic pure and simple, one who believes and practices what the Church teaches, is a Catholic who is not very enlightened. To which someone objected that the Catholic Church could not then be very enlightened in his Catholic opinion. He did not want to put it quite like that, but it was clear that he thought so. Moreover, he began confusing the Church with the Roman Curia, or making shifty distinctions between the two. He brought the Roman Curia adroitly into the discussion more than once to get himself off the hook, referring to recently published briefs, Latin letters, and encyclicals, but it was all a bit hazy. When pressed to find a better adjective than not very enlightened, he set off on a digression about human liberty, about the changes the world has seen, about periods of transition, about the abuse and uselessness of constraint, about the need never again to use force in the advancement of the truth. He stressed the danger of having privileges and how fitting it is to give them up. And all this verbiage, we could pick out shreds of different revolutionary doctrines that had been fighting each other, or rather, shoving each other about since 1830. The core of it was clearly Lamennais. Translator's note. Félicité Robert de Lamennais, who lived from 1782 to 1854, was a Catholic priest who believed that the only way to ensure liberty of religion in France was by the separation of church and state, and that universal liberty alone could save mankind and the Church. Gregory XVI in Morare Vos, 1832, condemned Lamennais' doctrines of freedom of the press, liberty of conscience, revolt against princes, and the need for a regeneration of Catholicism, as published in his journal L'Avenir, or The Future. His submission was superficial and short-lived. In 1834 he published the book Words of a Believer, Paroles d'un Croyant, openly attacking the civil and religious order, a book condemned in Singulare Nos as small in size but immense in perversity. He ceased religious practice and was to refuse last rites and a religious burial. End translator's note. And there were even traces of Proudhon. Translator's note. Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, who lived from 1809 to 1865, was a French anarchist who advocated the peaceful overthrow of governments in order to reorganize human society on a communalistic basis, and without any form of authority. He wrote, "What is property? Property is theft, and elsewhere, anarchy is order." He was convinced that goodwill would emerge quite naturally among men once all social constructs had been abolished. He wished to eliminate religion because it establishes God as a source of authority and preaches meekness and submission, enslaving man and depriving him of his natural dignity. End translator's note. But what struck us most was the insistence with which our liberal Catholic labeled us intolerant. We stopped him for an explanation. Forgetting the Roman Curia this time, he admitted that what he really held against the Church was her intolerance. She has always hindered the human spirit, he said, and based on this principle of intolerance, she has built up an even more troublesome worldly power. This power has enslaved the world and the Church herself. Catholic governments have taken it upon themselves to impose the faith, resulting in acts of violence that have revolted the conscience of mankind and plunged it into unbelief. The Church is perishing because of the illegitimate prerogatives she has claimed for herself. The time has come for her to change her principles, and our children must awaken her to the timeliness of such a change. She must renounce all power of coercion over man's conscience, and she must deny governments this power. Church and state must no longer be allies. The Church should have nothing to do with governments, and governments should have nothing to do with religions. Governments should mind their own business. A private citizen should profess the religion he pleases, the one that suits him best. Inasmuch as he is a member of the state, he has no obligation toward any particular religion. The state should give recognition to every religion, provide all of them with equal protection, and guarantee them all the same liberty. That is the rule of tolerance, and it behooves us to proclaim it good, excellent, beneficial, to maintain it at any price, to extend it without cease. One might say it comes from God. God himself established the rule of tolerance when he created man as a free being. He practices it in making his sun to shine on the good and the wicked. As for those days who disregard the truth, God will have his judgment day, on which no man has the right to anticipate. Every church, free in a free state, should welcome its own converts, guide its own faithful, excommunicate those who rebel against it. The state should take no account of these things, should excommunicate no one at all, and should never be excommunicated. The law of the land will recognize no ecclesiastical immunity, no religious prohibitions, no religious obligations. The church building will pay the normal taxes on its windows and doors. The theology student will do his military service. The bishop will be called up for jury duty and the military draft. The priest will marry if he likes, divorces if he likes, marry again if he likes. On the other hand, churches will not be hindered or constrained in their activities any more than they will receive special immunities. Each religion will preach, publish, hold processions, ring its bells, pronounce anathemas, bury the dead, according to its whim. And the ministers of religion will be no less citizens for being religious ministers. As far as the state is concerned, nothing keeps a bishop from commanding a regiment, tending a store, engaging in business, and nothing keeps the church, or a council, or the pope from dismissing him from his bishopric. The state is concerned with public order, and that is all.